Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach and welcome to the weekend preview. I'm sure most of you guys are wondering, what are we going to do with Scott Pendlebury? It was a talking point last week. Again, it's a talking point with some more up-to-date news. Firstly, a bit of team news. Not too much going on. Ablett's back in. Bruce is finally in. Walters is out. Wingard is out. Gary Ablett is back in. Other than that, I don't think there's a stack of SuperCoach relevant stuff. But nonetheless, let's talk Scotty Pendlebury. $497,600 he's at. Last week my advice was to hold him because he could be back this week depending on the full results of his surgery and how it comes up over the next week. Clearly those results are bad because he had to go in for some more surgery, a bit of a clean-up. Clearly his season is seriously on the line, and really all we need to know, was he going to miss another one or two? And clearly that will be the case. Collingwood will be in no thought process to rush him back, so we've got to find a replacement, and quick. Who's that man going to be? Well, there'll be people out there who have the money to go higher than the 497. There'll be people with 10 to 20k that can go either side. There'll be others who definitely need to go under to either get a bit of coin, save some money, or simply via necessity. So I think we all know, if you can reach the guys above 550, then by all means do so. But if we're going to talk a few players slightly less than that, because everyone knows who to get beyond the 550, 560 mark, I'll reel a few names off. Now, I'll probably cast a bit of a view on exactly who at the end, but here's a few options at least. Nat Fyfe, 533,000. In previous seasons, we would have jumped at a Nat Fyfe within reach of a Pendlebury. His last 3-round average is 120. So if you've watched him, if you feel like he's back in town, by all means get on board Fyfe. He's staying with the Dockers. Maybe he's starting to get a bit more of a continuity within his game and his body. Maybe he's a good option. Josh Kennedy, Clayton Oliver, very safe bets. What are we priced at? 531 for Josh Kennedy, 525 for Oliver. I reckon perhaps the best pick in that range is Lachie Neale at 529. But either way, Fyfe or Neale, I think both have different cases, but Neale is extremely good value, I feel. Josh Kennedy, Clayton Oliver, probably guys that you can rely on an average between 100 and 105 for the rest of the season. Very solid selections as we move our way down. There's a few names that sort of jump out, but not enough for me to really say go for it. I think those four guys, if you can go up 30-odd thousand, are the ones to look at. If you've got to go downward, then I think Ollie Wines might be one you look at for 495, I should say. Averaging just 100 points. His last 5 rounds is the 96, but I think he's going to be a fairly solid option. Trent Cotchin I like as an option, averaging 103 for the season, 3-round average of 100, 5-round average of 93. Not a bad option though, not a bad option I feel, again, to produce your solid numbers. The real talking point will be Rory Sloane. Of course, he banged out a 169. He had people jumping for him at stages early in the season trying to get him in. He's priced at 475,000 with what has been a horrific run of form prior to last week. Now, he's the clear option going by the numbers. He's averaging 110 for the season. He's priced at 475. Now, of course, the numbers say yes, but to be honest, if you have to bring him in, if all your option is to go below Pendlebury, then I would probably say, yeah, look, go for it. But I honestly couldn't endorse him with any real faith. I still don't believe he can shake a tag. You don't go for the extreme amount of time that he did, scoring mediocre scores without a reason, and he clearly can't handle the tag. So I have severe doubts. If you think that he might not get tagged for the rest of the season, by all means take that view, but certainly when the Crows come up against quality opposition, the opposition will certainly be looking to apply a serious tag to him. Geelong didn't. I don't know why. He dominated, scored 169. I would just be too nervous bringing him in. I know he might get off the chain at times, but I'd feel more comfortable bringing in the likes of maybe a Cotchin or a Joshy Kennedy that you know is going to get anywhere between 90 and 120 on any given week. Where I feel like Sloan, he can get you 170, but he can also get you a 60 or a 70. Now, that's personal preference, I suppose, but tread with caution. Moving further down the list, I mean, Robbie Gray once upon a time would have looked beautiful, but not in his current position. Same with Jack Stephen, but I couldn't endorse him. If we really need to save some coin, if you really need to treat the Pendlebury trade as a mini downgrade, Mitch Wallace, 445, a mid-forward, is averaging 95, 100 over the last 3 weeks. Maybe if the Dogs can find just an element of forward, they might all lift 5 to 10 points across the board as they try and pick up a finals position. He's not a bad option. Do you have a bit of faith in Dane Beams after what was a very disappointing early season performance where he couldn't quite get going? 131 last week. Is averaging 96 for the season, but we know what Beams is capable of. You know, it makes you wonder. Something to think about. Tom Rockcliffe, 411,000. By the way, if I didn't say Dane Beams is 419. Tommy Rockcliffe, 411. Don't get carried away for a man who has been one of the elite scorers for us. Don't get drawn into that price tag. He tagged last week, was in the Lions' best. I wasn't aware of that at the time, but since reading and hearing things, just the 57 points. But clearly, Fagan is giving opportunities to other players, and Rockcliffe, at least at this stage of the season, that may change with Zorko being suspended, who is another clear out that I don't think I mentioned off the top, but obviously we knew that was coming. Rockcliffe, I don't think he's going to play that absolute SuperCoach pig role that we hope he does, but if you're feeling lucky, by all means go for him. Now, I wouldn't endorse going too much further than that. I mean, you really don't want to be going any further than that 420 odd, I wouldn't have thought, because then you're trading out a good player for someone that you just don't have any real faith with what they're going to do. I mean, I'm just sort of scrolling through now, and you know, you're not going to find anything. I mean, you'd have to be in real desperate areas to have to stoop that low. Excuse me. So I think Pendlebury's clearly the option we wanted to talk about. Zorko, you just got to find a way to hold because he's an outstanding player, as we know. You've probably got anywhere from 1, 2, 3, 4 trades remaining, maybe 5 or 6 if you really held on to a few. And you just want to continue to finalise that team. I've said it for a fair while, and that's what we've got to be doing. Zach Williams, I think, is at a really nice price at 448. I'll hopefully look to bring him into the side. Luke Ryan was another inclusion off the top that I didn't mention now that I come to mind, but he'll probably go up in value. But again, disappointing. I doubt I would keep him because I want to bring in Zach Williams. You know, probably try and keep the faith with a few guys. There are a few strugglers, Nankervis, etc. But I think we should be looking to just get those final positions on our field that aren't at premier status. I think we need to be finalising on those and getting them right. But look, Pendlebury was a clear talking point. Try and bring in someone that you can really trust. I'd have to say, of all the guys I talked about, Lachie Neale would be the man, in my opinion. And then below Pendlebury's price, pretty much I'd be weighing up Sloan versus Cochin. That's a tough one. I don't know. You'd probably go Sloan because if you know what he's capable of. And it depends whether this decision is going to be an M8 or an M6 or an M9. You know, you might take a Cochin at M9. If I just scroll up a bit, because the other option is to wait a week, depending on your situation, is to wait a week and maybe there's someone who's just out of your reach that might come down a little bit. You know, someone like Josh Kennedy, who is only averaging 95 across the last 3 weeks, he may come down a little bit more and you might have 15k to spare and you might roll the dice. It's a risky tactic, but you never know. Neale may continue to come down. Again, they could come out and score 130. I don't think there's any real... You know, Bryce Gibbs, I suppose, he's going to come flying down after a 45, but I think he's very susceptible to a tag, as is Mark Murphy. So, look, I would really have to say if you're going to pull the trigger, try and get Lockie Neal or Josh Kennedy or Clayton Oliver, Rory Sloane, or maybe Ollie Wines fills you with a bit more confidence. You know, weigh it all up. But hopefully you can come to a good decision. I don't think there was anything else major that I really needed to talk about. Obviously, each team will be a little bit individual as to where they need to upgrade. And there are a few players that are a little bit lower on the premium status than others. Try and bring them in just to finalise it and really hone in on what your last 2 to 3 to 4 trades are going to look like. And then you can really make a clear-cut decision on how much money do I need to have left over? Who do I need to downgrade? Can I afford to upgrade? Because it's going to really hinder me on my next trade or leave it a bit too fine. But don't be afraid to take a bit of a risk either. There's nothing wrong with that. People sometimes fear the late season injury, and we often like to keep 1 or 2 trades up our sleeve, which I understand. That's fine. I'd certainly keep one. But again, there'll be times where we don't get another injury for the rest of the season. So if you are feeling lucky and you're outside the top 10k, you really want to break into the top 10,000, top 5,000, roll the dice a bit. I'll be doing that. I'll be taking a risk. If I cop injuries late in the season, well, so be it. I'll probably get hurt. But I think I'll roll the dice, have a bit of a punt and see how we go. But all the best for the weekend. Obviously, this video has been largely placed around Pendlebury. I feel that's been one of the big talking points. A few guys coming in, a few guys going out. But hopefully this video has been of some help to you guys. So all the best for your weekend in SuperCoach. These rounds are certainly going very quickly. It'll be finals time before we know it. So all the best again. Subscribe to the channel. Hopefully we'll have ticked over 900, which is something I've been looking forward to for a while. It's been a bit slower in that mid-season as SuperCoach interest isn't at its absolute height, but we should tick over 900 across the weekend, which is exciting. So if you've been on board a while, thank you very much. If you're new to the show, I appreciate you checking in. So cheers again, subscribe away, comment away, and I'll catch you soon.